Well, this is not a scheme well, I can understand. Well, quite frankly, I can understand the corporate sector being told that we impose a cess like education cess. You impose a cess on the corporate functioning of companies. With that cess, you have a capital, and capital you distribute in accordance with the representation in the Lok Sabha. So everybody has the same amount, and the same money can be used for that. What you are doing now is entirely different. You are saying you give me as much money as you want to give me. That Aziz argued, Mullah, that
Your submissions, this is not money for electoral participation, but money for
enriching the
political party,
yes.
individual party.
It's just enriching the party.
There are no spending requirements, there is no auditing requirement as to how the money
accountability.
is utilized, nothing.
No accountability. Absolutely no accountability.
A large public limited company who makes a donation doesn't give it for charity.
Exactly.
Or for, for
that's why I said capital and influence are Siamese twins.
So we shouldn't really in that
I'm not going there, Mullah. I'm not. That's why I said that what you're doing in this process is that you're allowing through the electoral bond process to not inform the shareholder as to how his money is going to be spent. Right? And that's a very serious issue because he is invested in the company not for the purposes of donating to X and Y. This is nothing to do with the electoral bonds, if you ask me. It is donation to a political party to use the funds as they like. The nomenclature suggests electoral bonds means this is for the purposes of the election. There is nothing in the scheme. There is nothing in the scheme which connects the donation made to the participation in the electoral process. Nothing. It is a means for political parties to be enriched. Why do I say that? I make a donation of 10 crores to a political party through an electoral bond. The political party opens a current account and 10 crores goes into that account. Now that political party can actually give that money to the mainstream media channel and say, you propagate my ideology. Or give a present to somebody. Or do what you want to do with it.
There are no spending requirements.
None, zero. That's the most serious issue. Because you can spend this money any way you like. You can build your offices. You can build your offices all over the country with that money. You can set up a whole internet network throughout the country with that money. You can use advertising campaign for whatever you like with that money. Show your face 20 times a day. And see the nexus. The corporate sector gives money to the political party. The political party and the corporate sector owns a media house. And just look at the nexus. The corporate donor owns the media house. The corporate donor gives it to the political party. The political party uses the media house. No questions asked.
Constitutional argument. Going on some
No.
instances.
I'm not talking of any instance. I'm talking about the scheme. Please do not interfere. I'm talking about the scheme. I'm not talking about any instance. That's the law.
But
this is, of course, hopefully it is.
Yeah, of course.
I thought we were sitting before 5 judges. I realized by now it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, thank you. Got to know about it from you.
The Article 14 argument.
Yes. Yes, Mullah. The scheme is wholly arbitrary. It has to be struck down on its terms. It has nothing to do only with elections and how you spend your money in the electoral process. The more capital you have, the more power you have. That's number one. Point number two, the electoral process must be such that it must provide a level playing field to all participants. fair and free elections or free and fair elections is the basic structure of the Constitution. Concept number 2.
Just a second. Yes.
Concept number 3, the moment you allow the corporate sector to donate, whether with transparency or without transparency, I'll come to that a little later, it is inconsistent with the concept of a corporate sector which is in the business of doing business. You have a memorandum of association which tells you what the objects of the corporation are. The shareholders put in their money to ensure that the corporation functions within the framework of the memorandum of association. Now you give the power through an amendment of this nature to allow shareholders' money to be used inconsistent with the memorandum of the association. It's a very serious issue. And without consultation and without the consent of the shareholder. Under which law, well, then I ask myself this question, can this ever be allowed? I buy shares in a company. It may be listed, it may not be listed. Now, let's kindly have a look at volume 4 and PDF 142. These are FAQs, Malats, that were asked where the scheme was from the SBI. 138, which is a given, Malats. Actually, I need not even mention this. At 138, the question is, what is the minimum and maximum limit for donation? The minimum amount for donation is 1,000. There is no maximum amount.
138, Mr. Sibal.
Question, Malats, 31.
31.
Yeah. Just note it, Malats. We lots of know, you know about it already.
That's okay.
Now come to 142. 142, question 6. Can a political party use this current account for other operations also? Answer is yes. Next question is 9. Can political party close this current account after the election? The account can be continued for normal banking operations. However, if required, the account can be closed at any time by the political party.
What are you hinting at, Mr.?
I'm sorry?
What are you hinting at?
Mullah,
can
you
be misused.
close the account, that's the end of the matter, Mullah.
So you get the money, close the account, but
That's it, and then you spend it the way you want. Is that, in fact, it protects the nature of the scheme protects those who have committed a crime. I'll give you an example. Under the Prevention of Corruption Act, Mullahs, Section 7 of the Prevention of Corruption Act, you give money to a public servant, members of parliament are public servants. Many members of the political party who are in the fray are public servants. Now, as your lordship knows, under Section 7, you can also prosecute a person in anticipation of a favor, not just having granted a favor. So you give a donation, no questions asked, you get a favor, you cannot correlate one with the other, and I can't prosecute you. This is a scheme to protect criminals from being prosecuted. Just read Section 7 with me.
Of the PCI.
Prevention of Corruption Act. This is also true under the PMLA. Because a predicate offense has been committed, it results in proceeds of crime. You'll never get to know. Rather than furthering the rule of law, it stymies it. That's the other Article 14 argument. You'll never know who bribed whom, how much was the bribe for, what quid pro quo was there. You'll never get to know. That there is quid pro quo, Mullahs, is in my first submission. That capital and influence go together. Mullahs, nobody can doubt that proposition, Mullahs. So in effect, through this scheme, you are trying to protect those people. Where the source of the money is, my learned friend has argued, I don't want to repeat anything that he has said. And we'll see what is the scheme. If it's less than 2,000 rupees, it's cash. If it's more than 20,000 rupees, the name of the donor has to be given. And if it is electoral bonds, nothing. That's the 3 layers of the scheme. So while the donor's name will be given if it's more than 20,000 rupees, right? And so ordinary, ultimately, let's put it this way. This constitution is for the citizens of this country to participate in the election. The corporate sector is not a voter. The citizen is the voter. The citizen is entitled to contribute. If he gives more than 20,000 rupees, his name will be there. But the corporate sector, who is not a citizen, can donate 10 crores, 100 crores. His name will not be there. What's the rationale for that? I, as a citizen's name, it will have to be disclosed. So, is the corporate sector being granted a privilege over a citizen of this country? That privilege of anonymity? How is he more privileged than a citizen who is at the heart of the Constitution of India? How is he being given a preferential treatment? Why? Because you want to enrich yourself through this scheme. And enrich yourself because you're in power. Whereas the opposition may be in power in a state. They will also enrich themselves. This is not political. Because all business will actually be attracted towards this scheme because this is one way of getting access. I just pardon me, Maharaj, for saying so from personal experience. If people donate, Maharaj, we know who is donated. He will give me a call and say, sir, I want to come over. I will hear him. But if I don't know his name who is donated, Maharaj, I won't listen. How many calls will I answer?